Before we get into anything, people, will you please drop a like on this video for the gal, Cassie, Cathleen, Bates, Star and Stripe. Wow, what a glorious, what an insane, what a heartbreaking, what a tragic send-off this chapter of My Hero Academia 333. I'm still speechless. I'm not even going front. I can't even believe my eyes of what Kohei Horikoshi actually did. Didn't expect it, at the very least, or at the very most, however you want to call it. I thought maybe like, yo, he'll have one of them take the L, one of them is gonna run away, something there. Like, yo, we just got introduced to this character like 5 or 6 chapters ago. How the hell did we go this route, man? Like, oh my gosh, it's been a wild one, because just keeping it real, like, again, I didn't expect it to go this way. I didn't expect, like, Kohei Horikoshi, if you watched my last video, maybe I was in denial, whatever you want to call it. I was like, nah, something's gonna happen. She must have set an order right before, like, it's all gonna be Gucci. But what he did, because I seen the backlash, I seen a lot of outrage about this chapter online. Again, people were pissed off. People were saying like, oh my god, no, the worst case scenario happened. But if you look at the fine detail of it, no, Kohei Horikoshi utilized this character, which I ain't gonna lie, part of me is upset of just the fact that how you make such a great character. Like, first of all, in 5 or 6 chapters, you make me care. You make me actually really rock with them. You make them a fan favorite of mine already. And then you just rip them away from me. How, Kohei? How do you do this? Why do you do this? So, I'm already looking at it from a fan standpoint. Yeah, I'm a little upset. The fanboy in me of like, I really like this character. How dare you, Horikoshi? But in terms of the story, what it adds, what it did, how it showcased the level of threat, but at the same time, did it make him overpowered? And in fact, did the opposite of what a lot of people speculated was going to happen? Oh my gosh, we gotta talk about it, people, because this chapter of My Hero Academia, this is one for the books. Honestly, for better or worse, love or hate it, you cannot deny that this was a controversial one. And also, it made My Hero Academia feel like, not necessarily the stakes are raised, but it just feels more dangerous. The threat feels more realistic now. Like, when you seeing somebody as powerful, as capable, as epic, as even you could argue beloved as Star and Stripe was, and Horikoshi pulled the trigger on her, makes you wonder just how far he's willing to go, how far they're willing to let him go in terms of killing characters and making the threat feel as realistic as possible, considering we have this amalgamation of a monster known as All For One, aka Shigaraki, aka whatever the heck he's become. He's a Gotenks type of dude right now, but yo, let's talk about it, man. I can't even believe I'm saying this right now. R.I.P. Star and Stripe, aka Cathleen Bates. I love you, girl. Let's talk.
No matter how you move, get it done. No matter how you move, get it done. No matter how you move, get it done. No matter how you move, get it done.
So yes, people, as I stated in the intro, in case you didn't read the chapter, you should go read it, because I'm about to be talking about all the ins and outs, and this is a very big chapter. Star and Stripe has been killed off in this chapter, and it is shocking. It is devastating, because again, maybe you could call it denial or whatever, but last week I was like, nah, there's just no way. Kohei Horikoshi is not going to do that. Like, hey, come on, guys, this is shonen manga. Come on, she ain't going to die. And then when I saw it, I was like, very interesting, considering one of the reasons why I felt Horikoshi added this character to begin with. You know, the #1 hero from the US, Star and Stripe, a female, was to cater towards that fan base that had been accumulated over there in Japan, especially of female readers and female watchers of My Hero Academia. After the film came out, the latest one, World Heroes Mission, and I found out that, oh, the majority of watchers over there, by like 70% or something, were females. So I was like, oh, okay, so that's why he added this character in there. And then you do this, I'm like, oh, I see. Yo, he leveled up. I ain't gonna lie. I feel like My Hero Academia leveled up in terms of the threat feels real. It doesn't feel like oh, BS, like things is off limit. Like, this is a character that he made really awesome. A lot of us really liked her. I don't know if Japan, maybe she wasn't all that liked over here. I freaking loved her, and you killed her. Well played. But the chapter opens up with an inner monologue of All For One talking and basically saying that one of the worst case scenarios, one of the things that he feared the most was One For All and New Order, Star and Stripe and Deku essentially teaming up, colluding together and working together to stop him. That was something that he dreaded. He did not want to happen because that's something that he couldn't tangle with, which is very interesting, again, to showcase that this New Order quirk, Cassie in general, was truly the real deal, real McCoy, because we already know that One For All has been built up throughout all these chapters, all these years now of being like, yo, it's a stockpiled quirk with all these quirks inside of it, and it's for like the chosen one, essentially. Like, all of that jazz has been built up. But then when you get to the other side of things and you see that there was another one that he feared, and then combining them was just like he was on some, nah fam, I can't fuck with that. Yo, I can't do it, I can't do it. Very, very telling of just how amazing New Order and how amazing what Star and Stripe was wielding around really was. I mean, the lengths that he actually even went to make sure that all of this doesn't come about, of having the safety commission put down and then having his friends worldwide keeping all of the other heroes occupied and out of commission, essentially, from being able to come over to Japan and help out. Like, he went through a lot to make sure, and that just demonstrates even more so of how he was really scared of this. Like, he's not necessarily scared of One For All by itself, he's not necessarily scared of New Order by itself, but together, yeah, he knew that, no, it's too overpowered. But I ain't gonna lie, it did feel like following that there was a couple of lines of dialogue that was contradicting one another, because he goes on to say that he planned on stealing One For All first before making his move and then ultimately fighting, you know, New Order, Cassie, Star and Stripe. Because if he wanted One For All first before he tackled New Order as if that was the end game boss, that kind of infers right there like New Order is actually the really most deadly of them all. Like, New Order is something that he can't mess with, and it kind of, honestly, it makes it seem like that New Order is what One For All should be in terms of the power and just in general being the strongest quirk of them all. Like, we went through this entire series, first of all, not even hearing about New Order, second of all, always hearing that One For All is what truly is the thing that's going to stop everything and the true strongest and all of that jazz. But then when he says that, I'm thinking to myself, oh, so then endgame boss is actually New Order. New Order is technically stronger, which if you really think about it, New Order just sounds way better than... if I had a choice between New Order or One For All, I'm going with New Order. New Order, the possibilities are endless. Like, yeah, there's of course some limitations, as Cassie demonstrated, of like, you can only power yourself up so much, but ultimately... I don't know. I felt like in that line of dialogue, it kind of seemed like he was hyping up New Order as being the strongest quirk. But then he goes on to contradict himself, because following that line of dialogue, he says that once I stole One For all other quirks would be ants beneath him. And you see like that really detailed illustration of like an elephant's leg or some shit. I'm like, okay, Otokoshi, like, I get it, but that's a contradiction, because just before that, right before that, he basically says that he wanted to get One For All first because he couldn't tangle with New Order. So it makes it seem like, you know what I'm saying? It makes it seem like New Order just is that shit that he was scared of and he needed extra power because he couldn't go up against it. Because why not say, you know what, I'm gonna try and steal New Order first and then go for One For All, because it would be easier that way. And don't tell me about travel restrictions. Come on, this guy just broke out of freaking prison and he's running through Japan and shit like that. Like, don't give me that. And essentially Cassie's badassery. Like, I love Cassie, man. I ain't gonna lie. Like, it's hard for me to be objective, because objectively, just keeping it real, objectively, the critic in me says no, this was actually really well done. Like, especially the ending details, the fine details is what makes it like, nah, this was A1. The epicness of it makes it A1. The fan in me is just upset and sad. Upset and sad, because the more I'm talking throughout this chapter alone, I'm like, God damn, man, Cassie was that chick. She defied the United States, said, I don't give a shit. I'm going to whip some ass. And that was one of his worst fears. Her showing up early at this point was something that terrified this man. And if you're terrifying All For One, yeah, you're that awesome, man. Kathleen Bates, oh my god, no. And apparently placing this incomplete body, because y'all know it's still like 97-98% done, he's not all the way yet, was a gamble, putting it on the front lines against her, which I really wonder if All For One has a quirk that could potentially see the future. If one of his quirks, maybe it has a double power or something there, because he be seeing things like, how would he know that Cassie was going to defy the United States and come over here immediately? Like, how would he have been able to, pinpoint, oh, she's going to come to this exact location. Let me stop her before. Like, how would he know all of this? So either he has moles in every jurisdiction around the world, or he could see the future or something there. Like, this just doesn't make sense of how many times already it's been showcased that, no, he knows a little too much. He knew about certain things with Deku just not that long ago as well. He knows a lot, and maybe that's also why he's always smiling, because whatever future he's always seeing is him taking the W. But regardless, he won. And this is crazy because y'all know I'm a Shigaraki fanboy, although, there's an interesting conflict there because it's not necessarily Shigaraki. So there's that. Maybe that's also a slight part of my disdain as well. Like, maybe if it was strictly Shigaraki that got the W in a very strategic way or just in a sensible way, I might not be, I don't know, maybe the fanboy me would have override things. I don't know, but either way, ultimately, he took the W, and yeah, I don't know, man. I keep on saying I don't know, but I really don't freaking know, man. This was something, man. Horikoshi, wow. And it even more was tragic and more hit home when essentially she tried to add the rule, Kathy Bates won't decay. And I was like, oh no, she tried it, but it was to no avail. And the twist at the end that adds to that, which we'll get into it in a little bit, was amazing. It was amazing of just how much of a real one Miss Kathleen Bates really is and was. And because essentially also she took the L to not destroy her mans. Don't forget last chapter, like, if she would have just blew up the freaking chopper, the freaking aircraft that they were in, ultimately she would have got the W. But she didn't want to kill her bros because we saw the camaraderie that she had with all her soldiers, all her men. So she took the L in favor of that, which I ain't gonna lie, part of me was like, damn, man, not Cassie, no. Like, yo, I ain't gonna lie, I'm sorry. Like, the bros could have gone for me in terms of, like, if it would have been beneficial to things overall. But again, it just all worked and made sense. And again, we'll talk about it in a second. Because he also proclaims, all for one, that he has officially stolen New Order's quirk. And apparently the moment he stole it, she started to decay. So even though she tried to add that last minute rule, that's essentially why it didn't work. By the time she tried to do it, it was already too late. He had stolen the quirk and her body was decaying. Maybe she didn't have enough time is what he's seemingly thinking there, or whatever the case may be. Essentially, that command right there she tried to add was just too late. And this is why I feel like, too, it's not really as much Shigaraki. Like, again, there's only like 2 to 3% of this being Shigaraki, because he even starts recounting of the olden days with his brother and how they used to read these comics, and that's all, you know, the lore from All for One with his brother, his younger brother that's part of, you know, One for All and whatnot. Like, this is all really his doing, or majority of it is his doing, because then he recounts of like, man, you know, we used to read those comics and I knew I would stop at a certain point. And it kind of reminds me of a line from like a rap. It was like, watch the gangster movies and root for the bad guy, turn it off before then because the bad guy died. Like, that was essentially what I felt from him when he said that. Like, yeah, he knew that eventually the hero was going to come, and this is new order, new world order, what he's trying to install in here. And that's why he never read the comics, because he was going to change the ending of the narrative before it could actually cross his mind. He was going to get the W. The villain is going to win on some Garo One Punch Man-esque type of deal. Although if you really look at it, it's kind of sad that it's basically like All for One is a grown man that is upset with his little brother about like the comic book ending. Like, yo, just think about it. Like, he's going on some conquest to destroy shit, and a lot of it may stem from a conversation when he was a little kid with his little brother about, no, I don't like the way the comic book ends. Like, that's, imagine right now I decide to go take up arms and go do some deadly shit out there because of what happened in this chapter. I would be a buffoon, a dumbass. Like, I would be an idiot. And I'm sure there's a lot more to it. We still haven't get everything there is to know about this guy. But boy, when you get stuff like that, I kind of look at it from a different angle of like, yeah, it's kind of like a nerd's revenge. Revenge of nerds. However, the get back and what I feel is what ultimately stopped this thing from being completely a disaster. Because if it was indeed that ultimately All for One killed her and stole her quirk and that was the end of it, yeah, that's kind of like not good. Not good, because essentially she was just introduced to power him up, and that was the end all be all. Like, what was her purpose other than to help out the villains in a bad way? Like, it wouldn't have been all that great. I still kind of would have been hyped off, just like, wow, you know, Horikoshi just killed off a #1 hero of the United States of America, but it wouldn't have felt as solid if it wasn't for the extra bits. Like, right here, this is where it changes it from, like, a gray area to bad to No, this was really good. This was really, really good. Because just as he's about to say his first New Order command, he says the air. We see that epic picture of Cassie, Star and Stripe standing in front of him in the vestige, basically like, you know, his vestige world where it's him and All For One together, whatnot. Like, you see her standing there, and I'm like, oh, here we go, baby, what's going on here? And he starts exploding, his quirks are exploding out, and I'm like, there we go, baby, that's the plot twist we needed. Because I ain't gonna lie, I saw people going crazy over the spoilers of this chapter. Everything wasn't clear. All we knew was that she took the L and he ultimately won, and people were very, very upset. However, when you add this factor in right here, and essentially what happened was her last second rule that she added, rather than blow up the plane while she still had time of while All For One was running across the aircraft towards her, she used that opportunity. She was like, okay, so I'm probably going to die now, and opposed to just using a command to say like, oh, I don't die, because remember, she tried to add in that second command, but it was already too late. Essentially, she prioritized this command first, like, because that second command was that her body won't decay, but it was too late, and she could have done that first, but ultimately she would have just had her power stolen and stood alive. And it kind of almost felt like that was the two routes that Horikoshi was debating on which way to go with it. Like, do I leave her alive and just that she don't got the quirk no more and he's overpowered as hell now, but she actually survived because she used that command? Or do I use this route, the alternate route? She says basically that New Order revolts against other quirks, because essentially that would mean anybody, so like if Deku or All For One, the two people that have multiple quirks, if they were to have New Order, automatically it would start attacking every other quirk within them. Essentially, she went out like a G because she depowered this man right before her demise. Essentially, she prioritized. She said, you know what, I gotta die, I die. It is what it is. We've reached that point, fam. But before I go, I'm going to make sure that my death counts. This isn't going to go out like how a lot of readers thought it was gonna go out of, oh, it's over, it's over, she took the L and he took the power, this was pathetic, what the hell? No, no, you put respect on Star and Stripe's name, baby. And you see an epic image of what kind of looks like an amalgamation of like All Might and Cassie, just this monstrous thing that is attacking all the other quirks within the inner vestige of All For One. And basically Cassie says, sure, it would have been nice to protect my body as an added bonus, but stopping this worldwide menace essentially was more important. And that also demonstrates something else, a core element of all of My Hero Academia, of how a real hero, All Might in particular, how he inspired Deku, he inspired Cassie to the point of she's a real hero. She put the fate of the world before her own life and sacrificed her life for the fate of the world, because all she had to do was say the first commandment being, hey, Cassie Bates' body doesn't decay, and that's it. She would have lost her quirk, and ultimately he still would have been overpowered, but she would have survived right there. She put the fate of the world before and said, oh no, I gotta die right here. That's okay. Like, oh my god, yo, how in 5 or 6 chapters I'm still speechless. Horikoshi, you did it, fam. You did it. And All For One goes on to say that essentially the backlash is, it's almost like a cannibal inside of him attacking the other quirks, which that means that he's in some pain, fam. And we're going to talk about his pain in a little bit as well, his reaction to his pain, shall I say. Because he also goes on to say, because he can only either steal quirks or bestow them onto somebody, he can't just like, oh, I'm going to throw one out. You know, I'm going to remove this ability. I don't need it anymore, lads. It's over. Like, he's actually kind of screwed right there. So he thinks to himself, okay, I got to force this onto one of the soldiers here. Like, that's the only way out of this whole thing, which I'm imagining New Order isn't going to be completely destroyed. Somebody's leaving with New Order. That's just my opinion or theory. I think he's going to force it onto one of the soldiers. Somehow that soldier is going to survive. He's going to have to run for it, because right now, if he's being devastated, you know, exploding from the inside out, he's in a lot of trouble. He's going to need to pass this quirk on ASAP, and he's not going to be able to do much after that. Like we already see in this chapter, one of his quirks alone takes an L, because he says already one of his quirks, his reflect quirk, was destroyed, meaning little by little, I don't know how many, but ultimately a few of these quirks within him is going to go bye-bye, and he has quite a few quirks, and that's going to weaken him immensely. And on top of that, he can't keep New Order because it's just going to keep on destroying everything within him unless he allows New Order to destroy everything, which then I don't think he'd be able to function as well. So either way, he has to get rid of New Order, so he never stole the quirk to begin with. He stole it, but he doesn't get to keep it, and it didn't do anything for him other than destroy him from the inside out. Like, talk about a creative way out of a situation. Like, Horikoshi wrote his way into a corner, and he fought out of that corner. And man, was it sad when she says once again, and we see that scene from the Two Heroes film of All Might's back, because he saved her, she got to indulge in this lovely dream of hers, because, you know, him saving her changed the course of her life. She wanted to become a hero just like him, kind of as a thank you as well, like, thank you for saving me and putting me on this path. And that shot of her decaying, I ain't gonna lie, a part of me feels like, yo, it's great. I ain't gonna lie, it's great, but I love this character so much that, oh man, if Eddie did show up out of nowhere like, hey, I'm just gonna come and use my fucking powers for once and I'm gonna restore you, I'd be mad, but I wouldn't be mad, okay? I'm just gonna throw that in there. I'd be mad, but I wouldn't be mad. And she says, this is me returning the favor to All Might for all those years ago of saving her. She saved, you know, the world and a big part of, you know, Japan. And then the last page, we see essentially all the soldiers are using their aircrafts trying to blast him to smithereens as he's exploding. And he says, damn you, Spectre of All Might. And one of the things I gotta point out is he is exploding from the inside out. This is looking really bad for him, right? He essentially does take the L. She dies, but he also takes the L, right? Why is he still smiling? Like, did this man eat the smile fruit or some shit from One Piece or something? Is he Kamazo the killer? Like, what the hell is going on? Why is he still smiling? There's something there. I think he either was born with a smile quirk that he can't stop smiling and it drove him mad or something. Like, there's something there clearly. Like, why are you smiling? Like, what the fuck is funny right here, yo? It's like this man could be plucking his pubic hairs with a monkey wrench and he's still like, like, you a sick motherfucker. You sick. I don't know why I just threw that whole example of the monkey wrench. Well, I did see a movie one day. Anyway. Yo, I'll keep it a buck. My final closing thoughts on this whole matter is that this shit was epic. I loved this chapter. I adored this chapter. And it's kind of crazy that Horikoshi made another All Might-esque character. And y'all know, I've said it before, All Might was my favorite character until he took the L and kind of been in that shrunken form ever since. Like, he was my favorite character. He brought another one, quickly became one of my favorite characters, and robbed her from me as well. Horikoshi, why you do this to me? I ain't gonna fall to peer pressure. I don't know where the fandom was at after the full chapter came out. I haven't seen what people are saying. I just know I saw from what people were saying about the spoilers, and they were really upset, but I don't care. Like, I'm gonna just keep it me, my opinion. I love this chapter. This was incredible. What a great way to write yourself out of a corner of, yes, he did steal the power, but it did nothing for him but destroy him, and she went out like a true hero. She sacrificed herself instead of saving herself with the commands and greatness. I don't care. My Hero Academia just went up a big notch on my playbook because, yo, we always complain like, oh, everybody's safe. You know, a character, if anybody even remotely likes them, they're not gonna do nothing. A lot of people like her. A lot of people like her. I like her. And Horikoshi just destroyed my feelings, man. But I'm very curious what you guys think. How do you feel about Star and Stripes, Cassie, Cathleen Bates taking the L and dying, decaying at the hands of this monster? Where do you think it's gonna go from here? Is he gonna force the New Order quirk onto one of the soldiers and then bounce, or what's up with that? And your overall thoughts and expectations for the future of this manga. It feels unpredictable to a certain degree now with everything that just happened. Like, this shit is crazy. 334 and beyond, I can't wait. These are the times where, I've said it before and I'll say it again, My Hero Academia sometimes shoots up to, oh no, this is my favorite manga right now. And at the very least with chapters like this, the last 5 or 6 chapters, this has been my favorite manga right now. Like, that could change, but as it stands, this was amazing. This was epic. Bravo, Horikoshi. Bravo. And that's saying that all while saying you just killed off one of my favorite characters. Like, but that's all I have for this one. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you liked anything I had to say or enjoyed the video, drop me a like. I'd greatly appreciate it. And if you want more from me, make sure to subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram. Hit that bell to get all notifications. And if you want to follow any of my other social media, links are in the description below. I'm ForneverWorld, and as always, people, have an awesome day. And remember the golden rule: anime and manga for life, boy. Have an awesome day. Peace in and rest in peace. R.I.P. to Kathleen Bates, Star and Stripe, Cassie. You will not be forgotten at all. You did good in your short time here. Have an awesome one.
To